AITA asking wife to stop texting/meeting with men one-on-one. TA account. Wife met someone at work who she says is attracted to and said, "We just click." I do believe you can have friends of the opposite sex as married individuals, but should probably be mindful and have healthy boundaries. There is nothing inappropriate/sexual in the content of their exchanges. However, the exchanges are emotionally intimate. She'll check in on how his biz trip/meetings went and ask him to call her. They sometimes exchange photos of themselves sending updates on what they're doing. They've met up a couple times, half work/half personal. She says she just wants the freedom to meet and text other men, and swears she hasn't and won't cross physical boundaries. She says I'm being controlling of her life. We've always had an open phone policy which LVE never had to use, but after I checked her phone a couple times, she's changed her passcode. I told her I feel uncomfortable and hurt. But she claims she's getting what she can't get from me emotionally from other men. She says if I just let her do this and be free, that she can still show me all the love I need. But otherwise she can't and would stonewall me. Is that an emotional affair? AITA? No, you are not the asshole who wants another man to mow his grass. AITA for breaking up with my girlfriend because I did not want to wait for sex anymore. I was with my girlfriend for over a year. Both 26. Before being exclusive, she told me she would like to wait 6 months before any kind of sexual act because in the past she gave herself out easily, which resulted in men ghost and hurt him. I respected her decision and was glad she became open with me instead of playing stupid games. After 6 months, nothing changed and I asked her if there is a problem. She told me she would like to wait 3 more. Then this 3 months became 1 more. I communicated my frustration with her. I asked her to at least give hand job or oral. Just kissing and being frustrated in the end is terrible. I had another serious discussion with her at the beginning of March and she told me to wait for a bit more again. I told her I cannot do it anymore and broke up with her. She told me we can have sex when I broke up, but I told her I do not feel like you are fully consenting to it. You just want to prevent me leaving by offering it. She said she fully consents, but I did not feel comfortable, so rejected it in the end. I hooked up with 2 different girls through dating apps in the last 2 weeks, and yesterday my ex-girlfriend came to talk to me. I told her I already hooked up with 2 people, and she got extremely angry. She told me she thought I was different, but I am no different than other sex-crazed men and wanted her just for her body and sex. AITA? No, you are not the a-hole. When the Johnson gets hard, it gets hard. AITA for getting a breast reduction even though my husband said no? I had 1 reduction back in 2019 before I met my husband. Now I'm 3 days into my recovery from my 2nd reduction and my husband has been bitching and it's been getting on my nerves. First reduction I went from a H cup to a big C, boobs grew back only a few years later and went up 2 cup sizes. Now after my 2nd reduction I'm currently a small B. My reasons for my 2nd reduction: back pains, neck pains, shoulder pains, discomfort. I wear a sports bra 24/7 unless if I shower, and if I don't I experience a lot of discomfort and pain. Difficulties with physical exercises. Trouble fitting nicely into my clothes. Personal preference for very small breasts. My husband doesn't want me to get a reduction because he's worried I'll look like a 12-year-old boy. My husband is insecure about his man boobs, and he's upset that our boobs are the same exact size now. My husband has a preference for a big rack on a woman. He also has been complaining about the recovery because this 2nd surgery has been more work than my first one, and this is the first time he has to take care of anyone, and he's just not having a fun time. LOL, he just can't stop complaining about doing everything this whole week. Yes, you are the a-hole. If your husband wanted a small breast woman, he would have married one. Leave the tits alone. AITA for blocking my ex when she broke up with me. I made this account today because my sister and parents are acting like I'm in the wrong, and I genuinely don't see how. My 19M ex-girlfriend, 20F, of 3 years broke up with me Sunday night over text. She told me that she felt like my lack of ambition was holding her back and she needed to move on with her life because she felt like I didn't value her. When she sent me that, I just sent okay and blocked her and fell asleep shortly after. I did not block her friends and had loads of messages yesterday morning when I woke up. They were asking me to unblock her and to talk to her. My sister, 20F, is also friends with my ex-girlfriend, and she told me that my ex was hurt by my sudden blocking and that she still wanted to talk to me for closure and wanted to make sure I was okay. I told my sister that I was okay and that I didn't want to talk to my ex, but would like it if she could tell her I appreciate her checking on me. My sister was not happy with this and told me that it was a hard decision for my ex and she just wants to talk to me. I again told her I was fine and that I'd rather not. My sister then told me that I'm acting insanely calm for being broken up with someone I was with for 3 years. I again told her I was fine. She asked me if I cried and I told her that I didn't and I just fell asleep listening to music. My sister told me that she's concerned about my lack of emotion and told me that my behavior isn't normal. I told her that I'm not obligated to cry over anything and I think it's weird that she was acting like I was. My sister once again told me that it wouldn't hurt to have one conversation with my ex because she was still worried about me and wanted to stay friends. I once again told her that I was fine and didn't want to talk to her. She told me that my lack of compassion is psychotic. That pissed me off, so I just started ignoring her and she eventually left me alone. This morning, when I woke up, my sister sent me a bunch of text messages again, so I just blocked her, and because of this she went and told our parents and they are upset with me for blocking my ex without communicating first. They said that we've been together long enough and they thought of her as a second daughter. I was just aggravated at this point and told them that I'd appreciate if they mind their business, but they didn't stop, so I told them that I wouldn't hesitate to block them too if they continue, which caused them to stop. They apologized to me and told me that they didn't mean any harm but just felt like it was a little inconsiderate of me to just block her without talking about it first, but they won't press me to talk to her if I don't want to. No, you are not the a-hole. If she wanted her freedom, then enjoy your freedom without me. Also, you spell check. I had to correct your bad grammar. Am I the asshole for telling my boyfriend ex-wife I won't babysit her child? I was pretty sure I wasn't the asshole, but now I'm a bit confused. My boyfriend, 28M, and I, 27F, have been together for a while now. He has a daughter and I absolutely love her. She is my best little buddy. This is not who the post is about. My boyfriend's ex-wife, 27F, got pregnant with another man's, 19M, baby about 2 or 3 months into them getting married. I have nothing against this baby. I've never met her, and I know her situation is not her fault. Fast forward to a couple of weeks ago. My boyfriend's ex-wife does not speak to me ever. She has never said hello and has never tried to meet me until now. She reached out to me and asked if we could watch her daughter for a week. This week, we would also have the daughter that my boyfriend and her share. A little surprised by the request, I asked her why, as she has never asked us to do this before. She said that it is her and her boyfriend, who is the teenager she had an affair with, want to go on a vacation to celebrate their anniversary. I was a little shocked at the request. I asked her if she had spoken to my boyfriend about it and asked why she bypassed him and went right to asking me. She said she already asked him and he immediately said no. I told her, well, there's your answer. She was furious. She said I have no reason to have anything against her and my boyfriend should be over it by now. She also called us bitter assholes and said that there is no reason we should take our frustrations out on a child, which I didn't think we did. I am always willing to take care of my boyfriend's daughter. I'm not sure why my boyfriend and I should be expected to take care of anyone else's child. The second child is not my boyfriend's. My boyfriend also has never met this child. To me, and him, it seemed like too big of a request. My boyfriend's parents say we should do it for the sake of my boyfriend's daughter so they can spend more time together. They said we were being too harsh by saying no immediately. I really don't think we're in the wrong, but his parents have me second-guessing it. AITA? Yes, you are in a hole if you do not want to babysit, get a boyfriend with no children. AITA for telling my fiancé it is naive to expect my mom to pay for our wedding and not attend it. I am marrying the love of my life, Kay, who has always dreamed of a huge princess wedding. We are a young couple and don't have much money, so my mom offered to pay for our wedding. Now I know my mom loves me, but she isn't the best mom and it certainly doesn't come naturally, so she just kind of throws money at things. Kay's mom is like a sister to her and one of the most important people in her life. M recently found out that my mom has been banging her husband, huge age gap, he's my mom's age, and M was obviously devastated. She is a 22-year-old Som and has no idea where to go. Kay and M have cried together over this countless times, and Kay even confronted my mom and called her an evil, ruthless bitch. Now here is the issue. Kay came to me and told me she is not willing to have my mom at our wedding after what she did. I said I understood, but she has to be aware my mom isn't going to continue paying if she can't attend. Everything is in her name and she could cancel. Kay said I needed to set boundaries with my mom, but I don't see how. No one is going to pay for a wedding they are banned from. I told her she was being naive if she thought she could have the wedding and punish my mom. Now Kay and M are being standoffish and acting like I'm the bad guy. No, you are not the a-hole your fiancé is. I warned my GF to not try to make me choose between my parents or her since she would not like the answer. Am I the ass? Context: my parents are first-generation immigrants and made countless sacrifices to help me get to where I am today. As such, I am going to take care of them as it is the least I can do for everything they have done for me. My GF has been concerned since I do use my income to support my parents, which she feels could be better used towards ensuring and securing our own futures. She loves to cite that future is not set in stone, and I tell you I agree, so best we can do is prepare within reason and not live in fear of unknowns we have little control over. I spend well below my means, my GF also works, and I do not use family funds to provide support for my parents, it comes out of my fund money. She keeps bringing up saying we need to discuss this issue. I told her I do not question how she spends her fund money, so she has no right to question what I do with mine. Either way, I agreed to have a discussion with her. During our talk, she has claimed that the situations are different because of the income disparity between us. I do make much more than her, but I also cover a lion's share of our expenses. I did express this, and I also told her that the level of support I provide my parents is not up for discussion as long as I am solely relying on my discretionary income. She brought up how my spending habits will forever keep us in middle class because while we do live well below or ours and have no debt, I am spending far too much and should be investing said money for the future. I asked what would she like to do about this, but I did remind her the support I give my parents is not up for discussion, and I did warn her don't try to get me to pick between her or my parents because she will not like the answer. I do love her, but I also love my parents and I am not going to ignore their needs, because literally everything I have is because of them, and it is the greatest honor to be in a situation and position where I can help them. She started to cry and tell me I do not care for her. I said that is far from the truth, but I also told her if she feels that way she is free to leave. She got upset saying I should be fighting for what we have. She is staying with her sister ATM. Spoke with my online friends about this last night while we were playing some games. They were asking me questions, and honestly they were shocked how I would pick my parents over someone I love. Told them I feel it is possible to have both, but they told me I was kind of being a jerk. What they said got me thinking. My GF sent me a text wanting to talk, so I guess I just want to get some opinions. I do wish to still care for my parents, but it does seem like my view or stance goes against what it means to be in a relationship. So was I overly harsh and being closed-minded? My friends seem to think so. You are not the home. When they marry you, they marry the family. AITA for sleeping with my frenemy on my wedding day? For reference, this happened about 5 years ago, but I was confronted about it recently. I am a very boring person, and this was literally the only dramatic thing that has ever happened to me in my life. 6 years ago, my fiancé proposed to me. I was thrilled. We planned a beautiful, intimate wedding. I've always gotten along with his friends and family. His mother adores me. We've disagreed, but we didn't argue. We found ways to resolve our problems. Inside and out, we were a great couple. I never thought he would literally leave me at the altar. Our families, friends, and even the officiator kept trying to reassure me, but almost 2 hours after the ceremony was supposed to start, I got a call saying he got cold feet and didn't want to get married. He wanted to get more out of life before being tied down. I did some things I'm not proud of. I begged my mom to get me out of the dress and I tore the stupid thing. I left the wedding after everyone kept looking at me with pitying eyes. I fended off a lot of calls from friends and families telling them I was fine and I didn't want to talk. Here's the thing I was called an for. I have a frenemy. We've known each other since middle school. He's always been a class clown bully. I was not attractive growing up and he would jokingly flirt with me and try to annoy me as much as possible. He never really grew out of either of those things. So when he called to check up on me, or really to rub it in my face that I was dating a loser who dumped me on my wedding day, he asked if I wanted to hook up with him. I said yes because my life was ruined anyways. What could be worse? He picked me up and we slept together. He is the second person I had been with, the first being my fiancée. It wasn't religious, I just saw it as special that we were each other's first and only. My fiancée evidently didn't feel the same. I blocked my fiancé as did the rest of my family. His mom profusely apologized and said his late father would never have approved of what he did. My now ex-fiancé contacted me recently. He wanted closure, he said. He apologized for ghosting me, but he immediately said that it didn't justify me sleeping someone else the night of our wedding. I told him it wasn't a healthy thing to do, but I've gotten comments from his friends that I acted badly and they would have left me too. I don't even know what I did wrong. AITA? Update. AITA for sleeping with my frenemy on my wedding day? Ex-fiancé called and apologized. I suspect, but have no evidence, someone may have sent him my post. Nothing stays quiet in a small town. He said he regretted what he said the moment it came out of his mouth, but the damage was done. He apologized again and promised that he would repay his half of the wedding. I'm not holding my breath. Some things to clarify. What was the actual reason for him getting cold feet? 2 major things. First, he found out his uncle, who he's very close to, took out a lot of debt in his name. It's fraud, but he didn't want to turn his own uncle into the police. He was afraid that I would resent him for putting me in a bad financial position right off the bat. Second, I didn't want to move to a major city. I am very happy living in our hometown and I earn a very good living. He wanted to move and he needed the extra money from a better job in a major city to pay off the debt. He felt stifled. Instead of talking to me, he began thinking of more and more reasons to not get married, but he was paralyzed by choice and ran out the clock. I was humiliated because he couldn't just talk to me like an adult, but instead ran away. He also admitted he thought we would find our way back to each other. Was frenemy at the wedding? No, it was just close friends and family, but if you live in a town like mine, everyone knew by midday. Are you and frenemy going to ride off into the sunset together? No. I'm not joking when I say he annoys me and just brings up a lot of negative emotions. It's not cutesy or old married couple bugging each other. He consistently just did things that ruined my day. In class, he would riffle through my notes and scatter them, shut my computer off during computer lab, break my things, and constantly taunt me. He would also grab me or kick me or play wrestle. When we were 14, he broke my arm in an accident. And he wouldn't stop hitting on me. And those things didn't stop when we grew up. It just became a part of my life. I don't know why I did it. Maybe it was self-destructive, maybe it was because I wanted to know why my fiancé left for this, whatever it was. I know I should stop. He still makes me upset. He'll mess with my stuff when he's over at my apartment, he'll steal my food, he's still very grabby and he still taunts me. But he's so much nicer when we sleep together and I want to shake him and ask him why he has to be nice for only a couple hours. If he changed, I would be happy. But then he goes back to taunting me. But then he goes and does something inexplicably sweet. He's a good person, but he's mean. It's very self-destructive, and I know I'm just looking for the scraps of love I can get. And I'm stuck in this spiral. It's a lot looking back at what I've written, but thanks for listening. Yes, you are in a hole. Don't make yourself into a slut to get back at someone. AITA for refusing to pay back my dad for taking me to medical appointments as a kid. My dad, 51M, and I, 24F, have been no contact for the last 4 years after I decided to move in permanently with my mom at 18. As some background information, I was diagnosed with multiple medical conditions at young age. I'm not going to disclose the type of conditions, but they all required regular specialist appointments and daily medication. My dad was always under the belief that I was faking or overthinking my conditions and would complain if I had a medical appointment during his week and would request that I leave all appointments for when I was with my mom, so he didn't have to drive me as I medically wasn't able to drive. Of course, this wasn't always possible as specialist appointments are very hard to book and you take what is offered. There was a lot of times where he would refuse to drive me and I would have to quickly call a friend to take me. He would also complain if I had to fill my script during his week as he believed I was being overdramatic. The main issue that he had was that he was spending too much money on me. After I got a casual job in retail at 16, he demanded that I pay for all appointments and medication as it wasn't his responsibility anymore. He also demanded me to pay him $100 for groceries when I stayed over, which I admittedly did hand over because I hated conflict, and he did yell if I refused. I want to point out that money wasn't an issue for him. He can easily afford it, but didn't think I was worth it. My dad was also verbally and emotionally abusive. He was physically abusive with my siblings and I when we were young, but that thankfully declined after a while. He would repeatedly tell me I had an eating disorder in front of his friends as I was too skinny. My medication had side effects such as being unable to gain weight and low energy. He would take my medication off me to prove that there is nothing wrong with me and would only give it back when my siblings would tell our grandparents. When I finally had enough and moved in with my mom full time, I wasn't able to take much with me as he decided he owned everything including my medication and school books. I now have panic attacks when he is mentioned and I avoid places I know he visits such as my grandparents' house. There are plenty more instances where he was horrible, but that should cover it. On to the current issue. I am now working and my dad contacted me politely asking me to pay him back for the multiple specialist appointments and medication he paid for. He had sent me a photo of a graph showing the amount he wants. I said no and that he was my parent and was required to take care of me. I told him not to contact me unless he wants to apologize to me. He replied saying that he only paid for it as it was required by the government, but now that I am working full-time, I have to pay him back. I am now doubting whether I am in the right and would like some advice. Am I the asshole? No, you are not in a hole, your father is. Screw him. AITA for not letting my neighbors use my yard? I, F26, recently bought a house with my husband. Our house is a beachfront house with an amazing yard. The backyard is designed to basically look like a hidden oasis. It has a pool, hot tub, water fountains on the side, and a small slide, all surrounded by trees and other plants. The trees give us privacy from both houses next to us, but still gives us the view of the beach. The backyard is why we bought the home, and we already spend the majority of our time being back there, even when my husband works. The entire backside of the house is mostly glass, so it's also what we see when we are in the house. It is definitely the focal point of our home. Yesterday, we started the construction on a new fence. This fence goes around the backyard with a gate only to the beach, so you either have to go through the house to go through the beach to get to our backyard. We didn't think anything of it before I got a knock on my door this morning from someone who lives in the condos across the street from us. I have seen her a few times, but we never really talked. She introduced herself and then asked about what we were building in our yard. I just told her that we wanted to put up a fence before tourists start coming. This was recommended to us by our realtor. Marie kind of looked shocked and asked if we were putting a gate on the front or anything. I said no and that we already had a landscaper come and look to get more plants put around it. She then asked me if I could put a gate on the front. I didn't really understand this, so I asked her to clarify when she explained that the previous owners would let people from the condo walk through their yard to get to the beach because otherwise they have to walk 5 minutes down the street. To get onto the beach where there are a lot of tourists, our street leads to private beach, so there isn't as many people. She said that mostly everyone in the condo started doing this over the past few years, especially people with kids, or even just letting their kids go to the beach alone. She also said that they would let people use their pool if they texted as asked. I immediately told her that no one would be in my yard unless I knew them. She obviously got upset by this and then said that basically everyone in the condos would be upset by this. I told her that I understand why they want to use my yard and that it's just a pass-through, but I hate the idea of being in my backyard and having random people walk through. She started getting mad at me for it and saying that I am ruining a lot of people's way of life by blocking off this path. She claimed that a lot of people let their kids during the summer go to the beach through this way, and a lot of kids can't walk to the popular spots. The beach is kind of quiet where we are. I did get annoyed and told her that I don't really care and that I will not let people into my yard. She tried to bring up the pool, but I just told her that I wasn't going to talk about it anymore. This was yesterday afternoon, and I've already seen people standing outside the condos and pointing to my house. I even had someone run over to talk to me and ask if I was really getting off the beach path. I've talked to both my neighbors who agree with me, but my friend and sister are both saying I'm in the wrong. So AITA? No, you are not on a hole. Your house is not a fair thought. Tell the neighbor to get more steps in and go around your house. AITA for sending a letter to the married woman's husband after she slept with my partner of 13 years? Updated, also apologies for the mistake in the title. The letter itself gives the majority of the details, so I will paste a copy below. I'll also try to answer any questions to bring more clarity to the situation where needed. I ask that people please be respectful, as myself and my children are very hurt already by the whole betrayal. I understand that my ex-partner is equally to blame for this, but my conscience doesn't feel clear when I go to bed at night thinking there's a chance her husband doesn't know. I do not want to destroy another family. Her children are grown, and from what I understand off at college and university. Myself and my ex are currently in couples therapy that he has paid for. I'm not sure what the future holds for myself and my children. The amended letter I have written but not yet sent. Thank you all for the amazing advice. Dear Jay, I am unsure as to whether you are aware of your wife's affair with my partner of 13 years. If, on the off chance you aren't, I cannot move forward with a clear conscience without sharing the information I have with you. I am a 32-year-old mother of two. I found out December 28, 2023 about the affair that had taken place almost a year ago. This is what I know. 1. They met in a car group where my then partner had listed some wheels. 2. I had taken an interest in the wheels between January 2023 and March 2023. 3. They messaged for a couple of weeks, and then she asked if she could see the car. 4. This led to subsequent meetings and eventually an intimate relationship in my ex-partner's rusty, old work van late in the evening. 5. Apparently, protection was used, but I am not 100% on this. 6. She wished to have further meetings following this, but my ex-partner eventually stopped replying and then blocked him after he realized it was disgusting, disappointing, and embarrassing, and a return to her family. 7. 3 days after Christmas, she then sent me screenshots of their conversation resuming for a few days around the Christmas period. I have included copies of these. 8. She also messaged my ex-partner stating that now they could be together. 9. The contact was made via a fake profile in both instances. When she contacted my ex-partner, and when she revealed the affair to myself. 10. She ensured her identity would be protected throughout. It was incredibly well orchestrated and quite frankly a little concerning. I want you to know that I am of no threat to yourself or your family. I just feel that if you haven't been given any or all of the information, then I am not going to be complicit in enabling a cheater's poor behavior. I suggest you search for this fake profile and gather all the evidence you can before she is able to continue with her manipulation. As you can imagine, my children and I are incredibly hurt by both of their actions, as I'm sure your family are also. I wish you and your family the peace, happiness, and honesty you deserve. Best wishes, K. No, you are not in a hole. She asked for it. She messed with the wrong woman. AITA for sending my sick son to school? I, 38F, have been facing some backlash lately over a decision I made regarding my son, 9M, and his health. Here's the story. My son woke up with a slight fever and a cough. He didn't seem too sick, just a little under the weather. Now, I know it's important to keep sick kids at home, but I had a busy day planned, and today just wasn't a good day for me to stay home with my son. Plus, my son didn't seem too bad, so I thought he could tough it out at school. I gave him some medicine to bring down his fever and sent him off to school like usual. However, later in the day, his teacher called me to say that my son was feeling really unwell and that I needed to come pick him up. I was annoyed because I had to drop everything and rush to get him. Then, when I asked my son why he didn't tell me he was feeling worse, he said he was too scared to ask the teacher to call me because he didn't want to get in trouble. Now, when I told my sister about this, she said that I was irresponsible for sending my sick son to school, especially knowing that he wasn't feeling well. They're telling me that I put other kids at risk of getting sick, and if I was that busy, she would have been willing to watch over him. But I feel like I did what I had to do given the circumstances. I couldn't just stay home with him today, and I had important commitments that I couldn't cancel last minute. It may sound bad, but there was very little I could do. Ida? Yes, you are in a hole. Think of the other kids and your son's ability to get them sick. A hole. We, M38, F33, started swinging. Has it killed our marriage? TLDR, we started swinging with another couple. I wanted to stop. They went behind my back. I found out, asked them to stop again. They agreed to stop. They're still going behind my back. Now I will leave my wife. Hello, friends. Gather around the campfire and let me tell the tale of how I, M38, fucked up my marriage to my soon-to-be ex-wife, F33. Account is new. For now, I'd like to be some guy on the internet and not have reality come to feast off my tears. Disclaimer, this takes place in Europe. Preface. In my early 20s, I had a form of cancer that was quite treatable, but that would leave me infertile for the rest of my life. I was able to store some sperm away that had a count of 200 swimmers per microliter. After chemo, it was 0. It was 0 the year after and 0 every year until I got tested for the last time 3 years ago. So it's pretty safe to say I can't conceive children. Q 2012, I, 26, meet this wonderful girl, 21. We hit it off, start to be FWB. A few months later we find out that we're in love with each other, move in together a year later and start planning our future together. We get married after 3 years. All the time she knows that the only way for me to conceive children is by IVF, or ICSI if you want to be precise. She quite enjoys not having to use contraceptives, and we have a great sex life all around. We try to conceive by IVF, we pay a lot of money, and it worked. Our kid is now 7 years old and healthy. It is the light of our life. I love the child more than life itself. Because there is some of my frozen sperm left, we try again. We throw most of our savings at the issue, but it just will not work. Eventually, the stock is depleted. But she wants to have at least 2 children. Every time she sees a mother with more than 1 child, she gets irrationally angry. She pushes me to use a sperm donor. But I cannot befriend myself with the idea to have 1 child that is, biologically, mine and another that is not. 2 children who are not biologically mine would have been fine. But deep down I knew that I wouldn't be able to treat them equally. So I said that having a child means that both parents say yes. If one says no, it's no. So it stayed a no and we stopped. The following 2 years she made sure to torture me for anything she could find. Did I leave the dishes out? I got yelled at. She wants to spend 2 weeks with her mother over Christmas and I suggest that 3 days might be enough. I get screamed at for not complying. I could cite a whole list of things where I felt she was making my life hell, clearly making me responsible for her unhappiness of not having a second child. She even considered divorce, moving back in with her parents who live hours away, taking the kid with her. After all, she could get pregnant. So she would look for another man who would have a child with her. That would mean that we would separate and I could either leave my well-paying job in this part of the country and move with her, or I would only see my child once every fortnight. I ended up trying anything in my power to appease her and get her to stay. But the emotional abuse and fear of losing my child left me hurt. Chapter 1: My Affair. It started as innocent as most affairs start. She was a work colleague whom I will call Angela. She lived in another country. We were assigned to some projects together. During COVID, we spent a lot of time in video calls. Projects eventually finished, but the calls continued. We liked each other, had similar interests, and told each other about our lives in a way that normal friends would. Never would I have thought to be romantically involved with that woman. After all, I would have to fly a few hours just to see her. After the COVID lockdowns were lifted, there was a big company gathering where everybody from around the world flew in. During the planning phase, I realized that I had gotten very excited to finally meet Angela and realized that she had become more than a friend to me. During the meeting, she expressed similar interests. I told her that I would never leave my wife because under no circumstances will I lose my son. The affair went on for a bit, mostly digital. I made it to her country a few times and she to mine. It was nice. But at some point I realized that she is not everything I love in my wife and more. She is more in some aspects, but in other aspects, it would be difficult to be with her. Obviously, being in different countries is a challenge in itself. So we ended things amicably. Told ourselves that we enjoyed the time together. Last I heard, she is getting married and wants to start a family. I wish her all the best and haven't talked to her since. Also during the affair, I realized that my wife seemed to be coming out of her depression. Perhaps partly because I was being more attentive, i.e. careful, so she wouldn't notice the affair. Perhaps she was just getting over things. Or perhaps because we started building a house, which had been a dream of hers since she was a child. Chapter 2: The Good Years. I had not told anybody about the affair with Angela. Not even my closest friends. It was my intention to keep it that way. I did feel guilty. But that was just a burden I had to bear, considering that I had cheated on her. However, things were looking better in our marriage. We were communicating better, we were building our life. We had nice vacations and some great weekend trips. Work/childcare/hobbies were very well organized. We were intimate quite often, anywhere from 3x a week to 3x a day. We were in love again and we were happy. Life was good. Especially now I put the affair behind me and wanted to look forward only. Record scratch. One day, I picked up my wife's phone when she was out for a run and saw a message of some guy that I didn't know. Perhaps somewhat paranoid because I myself had hidden an affair for long, I read the messages. The exchange had been going on for a week. He was sending her pictures of his abs and they were talking about movies. She asked him to show him The Big Lebowski because he recommended it and she had never seen it. Bitch, I watched that with you years ago, but in VMD. I was shocked and asked her who Guy is. She tried to BS her way out of it but would eventually admit that she liked flirting with him. She told me that of course she would have never done anything. And a movie date doesn't automatically mean sex or making out. I wasn't sure if she is really that gullible or if she thought that I was. I asked her to delete the contact, perhaps message him goodbye, which she didn't. She deleted his number, Instagram, Facebook, and whatnot. Said she was sorry, said it wouldn't happen again. Chapter 3: We Start Swinging. Through all these years together we had always expressed a certain openness to other sexual partners. During our FWB phase in the beginning, we actually had a foursome with another couple and quite enjoyed that. We both wanted to explore sexuality with other people. For me that was threesomes with another lady, of course, But I do have a hint of bisexuality in me that I would be interested in exploring if my wife was fine with it. She mentioned that she wants to find out how other men are in bed. And she would also be down for FFM/MMF, bi or non-bi, threesomes and MFMF with other couples. So we signed up on a swinger dating portal, uploaded some juicy pictures, and started swiping and messaging. We met a couple, let's call them Sandy and Mitch. We messaged them a few times, sent pictures of faces and other body parts and activities. We eventually found a babysitter, got all dressed up, and drove to their house. We explicitly said that if either one of us does not want to do this anymore at any point, that would be the end of the swinging. No explanations necessary. What followed now, I can only describe as an awkward race to nastiness. We originally thought that we would just play spin the bottle. Perhaps start with a few pecks on the cheeks, perhaps let the ladies fool around with each other. Well, that was not the case. Sandy sat next to me and Mitch next to my wife. Mitch had put his arm around my wife, so I felt the urge to do the same to his. Mitch started touching her leg, so I did the same with Sandy. I looked over to my wife to see if she was comfortable, which she seemed. Then I leaned in for a careful kiss and another. After a few minutes, we were Frenching on their couch. Of course, Mitch and my wife had to follow suit. So I undressed Sandy and started going down on her, only for the other two to do the same. After about 30 minutes, we were all naked. It felt exciting and new. But it did not feel good. When it came to the fucking part and putting on a condom, something I hadn't done since Angela, and even then it was difficult. Remember, I can't make babies. My manhood decided that on that day I shall not be having sex. That didn't keep the other two from doing it. Sandy was very understanding and thoughtful. She offered blowjobs and hand jobs, but nothing worked. My head wasn't allowing it. Apparently, seeing my wife with another dude was not the turn-on we hoped it would be. Somewhat discouraged but motivated to perform better, I agreed for more dates. This time perhaps not with my wife in the same room, getting railed by Fat Mitch. This worked better. We then opted for dates of 2 people each. Because we all have children and it was difficult to find babysitters, I drove to their place to fuck Sandy and Mitch drove to our place to fuck my wife. Intermission: Sandy and Mitch's relationship. Sandy and Mitch had been high school sweethearts. They had only slept with each other, at least until they started swinging recently. Earlier in their relationship, Sandy admitted to having kissed somebody else on 2 separate occasions. She found out later in therapy that she wants to sleep with other men. So she started going on hotel dates with different dudes. She told Mitch about it. While he reluctantly agreed because it's what she needs in this marriage, he stayed at home crying. Of course, she allowed him to date on the side too. But imagine the odds of a 6 to 10 lady looking for casual sex with guys 35 to 60 and a 3 to 10 overweight dude in his early 40s. He did look better in his prime, doing the same. She had dicks lined up after mere hours while he was messaging hundreds of ladies to get a reply. She kept banging 2 other dudes regularly. Eventually, they found a couple, but that didn't really click. They had a threesome with one of the dudes. Mitch had trouble enjoying this, was not in the mood, and didn't get it up. But that didn't keep Sandy from finishing anyway. We both felt extremely sorry for the guy. But our own horniness didn't pay too much attention to it. They were very immersed in their small-town social life and volunteering. They argued that they could not suffer the stigma of separation and divorce, certainly not if all the dirty details came to light. My theory is that Mitch wants out of his marriage but does not have the courage without having found a new partner to be monogamous with. He really liked, and apparently still likes, my wife. She is out of his league and he is making every effort to win her over: massages, multiple calls and texts per day, small and thoughtful gifts, and all that while we were only couple swapping. Back to our swinging story. Each week, I started feeling more uneasy with the situation that I had originally agreed to. The other 3 were quite insistent that we had a great thing going, so I gave in several times and agreed to yet another date. During that time, I increasingly noticed my wife texting with Mitch all the time. I noticed that she was less compassionate with me. I did want to be closer to her, but she told me that I was smothering her. What I learned later was that Mitch had confessed his love to my wife. I do not know if the feeling was mutual. My wife said it wasn't. But she would later admit that she really enjoyed him making an effort for her. I eventually raised my veto and said that I wanted to stop swapping partners. Boy, did that make people angry. Sandy was pissed because she thought I didn't find her attractive anymore. She was trying to gaslight me back into this foursome relationship. My theory is that she had finally found a lady friend for Mitch which he enjoyed. Of course, Mitch wasn't willing to stop. After all, he was in love. Also, my wife finally admitted that she had somewhat fallen in love with the guy. All three were badgering me how I could destroy something so beautiful. But I was not able to continue this and demanded an end. The ladies agreed to stay friends. My wife promised that she would see Mitch anymore. And that was that, or so I thought. Chapter 4: The Ugly Aftermath. Things were getting better. I had asked my wife how she was handling things. She seemed okay. I suggested couples therapy because our relationship did take a significant hit. She did not want to. It's too expensive. She doesn't need therapy. She still loves me. She said that the only person having psychological issues would be me. Well, I did start seeing a therapist. Anytime I wanted to talk about this topic, my wife blocked it off. Every time I asked about couples therapy, she would push me away, citing that I need to give her time and space to fall out of love with Mitch. It felt weird to me. And my feeling was not wrong. One fine day, she was on a work trip, legit. I logged into her Facebook and saw an exchange unfold in front of my eyes. Mitch saying how much he misses her and loves her and how much he enjoyed the evening before. My heart broke that moment. They quickly deleted the messages, but I was able to screenshot them and confront her about it. Perhaps I'm delusional, but I was hoping for an apologetic wife to return home and beg me for forgiveness and to take her back. Quite the contrary, she explained to me that she can't just fall out of love and how it would be the ultimate display of love from my side if I let her enjoy this feeling with him. That was the moment when I really wanted to piss her off, so I told her about my affair with Angela. I suppose just to demonstrate that it actually is easy to fall out of love if you go no contact. It's super easy, especially if you're married to someone you love. She cried. But after about 2 days, I asked her if she was still angry about it. She just shrugged it off. I decided to be with her after all, and that's what counts. I demanded that she stop texting/calling/anything with him immediately if she still wanted to be with me. Another few weeks go by and things do get better. She had felt betrayed in her trust because I went through her stuff, so she changed her passwords. From time to time I did ask to see her phone and she would show me an empty chat window that had no new messages in it. But since she now knew when and what to delete, this did not build any trust. I kept mentioning that perhaps now that, as I thought, all that was behind us, we could go to couples therapy together. Still she refused. I noticed that she was buying nicer clothes, was using perfume. At the same time she was asking me to dress nicer and use all kinds of products. I didn't think much of it, but it felt strange to me. When I asked her why she still was in love with me, she mentioned the house, the child, and our future together, but none of my personal traits. That felt strange to me. Also, she was safeguarding her phone like a treasure. It went everywhere. On each run, into the bathroom. It was hidden under pillows when we were in the same room. Occasionally, I asked her if I could see it and she only quickly showed me some old messages to demonstrate that nothing had been texted. It was pretty clear that she had deleted messages. But she always denied it. Now, the phone bill came in and I saw that throughout the last 8 weeks she had called Mitch, and what turned out to be Mitch's work phone, almost every day. She sent a great amount of texts. She turned off the location on her phone, so it doesn't show location history. Now it is clear that she has been in contact with him. I am done. I will ask her tonight if she wants to tell me anything. I am so unbelievably sad. I cannot be in this relationship anymore. Even if she gave me her word to be faithful to me now, I wouldn't be able to trust her. My moral of the story is, if your gut tells you she's cheating, she probably is. So how can you help me? I am quite sure that she is still cheating on me. And even when Mitch is out of the picture, some other guy will come along and she'll be interested in him. Am I throwing away October 20th, 30 good years of being married in the future because I can't swallow my pride that she is having an affair? Especially since I had one myself. Update. She told me that those were only phone calls where they discussed their relationships and that she was helping Mitch with his issues at home. In front of me, she deleted his numbers and blocked him from texting. She uninstalled Telegram. She blocked him on Facebook and Instagram. What I learned later was that she did not block him on WhatsApp. Sunday night she told me how she wants to work on our relationship now and finally wants to go to couples therapy together. I asked her if there was anything else I needed to know. In particular, if there had been any meetings. Nope. Just phone calls, she said numerous times. On Monday morning, she was supposed to be at the dentist, but something felt off. I demanded to see her phone, which she handed to me unlocked. Of course, no messages could be found. But she did have both his, work and private, numbers saved again under a different name. At this point, I had memorized the number and just started typing the number and saw the contact pop up. She admitted that she had met him this morning and was not at the dentist to break things off and end it finally. I told Sandy about the meeting and the frequent calls, and she confronted Mitch when he got home. Turns out, he has been more talkative than my ex-wife. He admitted that they had met every week in the parking lot of a nearby park. Went for a walk, talked, kissed, and then had unprotected sex in his car. When I confronted her about these newfound details, she just went off on me how I had an affair and she feels that it was justified because I had done the same thing. Fuck this. WIBTA if I slept with the wife of my wife's affair partner. Basically, we started having sex with another couple. People started falling in love. I wanted things to stop, but the others wanted to continue. My wife had admitted to one meeting with the guy where they had sex afterwards. I need to add that I had an affair earlier in our relationship. My wife didn't tell me, but she was resenting me for this. She told me that she felt that her, now ongoing, affair was justified because of it. I had tried to work on our relationship, suggested couples therapy, but she wouldn't go. Previously, she always shrugged my affair off. She told me that she just doesn't think about it and that I'm with her now and that's what's important. What I didn't know at the time was that my wife, who had told me about 100x that she wasn't seeing the other guy anymore, had in fact had regular meetings with this guy, going for walks, kissing, talking, and fucking. She told me this after I had found out that she had not been to the dentist where she was supposed to have been. I told his wife. She too did not know about this setup and is understandably similarly furious. I myself am absolutely devastated, angry, sad, and just don't know what to do at this point. Now the other lady suggested that we get together to fuck. I am well aware that this will not help repair the relationship with my future ex-wife. I am also aware that it's the ultimate petty move. Also, neither of us can imagine a relationship with the other. But right now, I don't want to see my wife anymore and I don't want to be alone. You can read in the linked thread that his wife and I had already had sex earlier this year when we were swinging with the other couple. Would I be the asshole if I slept with this guy's wife? Please excuse my somewhat incoherent ramblings. My wife just confessed to me hours ago that she was regularly fucking another guy for the past 3 months when she told me that she had cut contact with him. Edit, I just learned the sex was unprotected. But he totally didn't come inside her. FML. Edit 2, one of my good friends advised against sleeping with the other lady but to have sex with the guy instead. I fucking love my friends. No, you are not an a-hole, you were a swinger. How can swingers be an a-hole?